We want to welcome you to our annual Columbus Division of Fire Cardiac Arrest Survivor Celebration. We're so happy that you're here, some of you for the first time, and I think you're going to realize what a special event this is. We're certainly so glad that all of you are here with us on this beautiful day in May. The guests of honor today are our survivors, and the reason that we have this ceremony every year during EMS week is to show the profound impact that our EMS providers do every day on the street. And probably there's nothing more dramatic than bringing someone back from the dead. And so today, you're going to hear stories of our heroic EMS providers who arrived on the scene, were faced with someone who had no pulse and no respirations, and were able to resuscitate them, and they are here now with family and friends, and the ability to meet with their heroic rescuers. And you're going to hear those stories here in just a minute. We're going to go ahead and get started. We'd like to have remarks from several of our distinguished guests, and we'd like to start with our director from the Public Safety Department, Director Kathy Collins. Would you welcome her?
Thank you, Dr. Kessig, Chief O'Connor, and President Montgomery for sponsoring today. And thank you, survivors, family, and friends, for being here and sharing your stories today. On behalf of Mayor Ginther and Director Ned Pettis, I appreciate the opportunity to give a couple remarks today. What a wonderful day for this celebration. It's exciting to see those that have experienced the best emergency medical response system in the country, in my opinion, reunited with the best emergency medical response personnel in the country. It's a wonderful reunion that we're seeing today. To drive home the point that the possibility of a life-threatening tragic incident can happen to any of us, my dear friend and associate, a year ago, right, experienced a tragic event that you're going to hear about shortly. So we all need to walk away and remember that this could happen to anyone. It's very, very close and personal to us. Last year, if you remember, Director Pettis was here and he gave remarks, and as a result of this, he made our entire office go through CPR training. I think that spread over to the mayor's office as well, and we encourage family and friends, if you're in the workplace, and just make sure you learn that important life-saving mechanism of CPR. Also, since last year, we have added AEDs to police cruisers as they are experiencing more cardiac arrest associated with overdoses, and in the course of their day-to-day patrol operations, we've added that important life-saving mechanism out in the community as well. In 2017, 91% of all EMS calls were responded to within 8 minutes of the call being made. That just shows how precious minutes can save lives. And we're very proud on the fact that CFD puts their hat on that number and has such a high compliance rate. I'm going to close with a quote from Anne Shropshire. Sometimes a little near-death experience helps put things in perspective. As we hear these stories today and as you leave, take that perspective with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I might say that, the support that we've had from the mayor's office, the public safety director's office, our fire chief, our labor union, to support what we're doing in EMS is evident, I think, here because of their attendance to this event. So we just thank you for that. And speaking of support for EMS, I'd like to introduce to you our fire chief, Kevin O'Connor. Chief O'Connor makes it a point when he greets new recruits to basically tell them that most of the job they'll be doing is not fighting fire, but actually providing EMS services, which is basically saying what the reality is. And so I value that as the medical director here, and I know he values EMS in the division that he runs. So I'd like to introduce to you Chief Kevin O'Connor.
Thank you. I have the privilege of representing over 1,560 men and women of the Columbus Division of Fire. And what you'll see here today are just a small sampling, because while we have 7 representatives here of citizens who had life-threatening emergencies that we were able to assist and bring them back so that they can share this event, Christmas, Hanukkah, every other event with their family, their friends, their sisters, their brothers, their husbands, their wives, their grandchildren, their children, all of the above. But what we have to understand is it took 1,560 people and even more to accomplish the task that every one of us accomplished here in this room. What you have to think about is there was a chain of cycle that happened. What happened was every one of you had an emergency at some point. And somebody stepped up and did the right thing, not because they knew you or because they didn't know you or because of anything about you. They did it because that's what human beings do, and that's how neighbors take care of neighbors. Somebody made that phone call. They started that system. Our alarm office and the police dispatchers took that call, gathered as much information as they could to predict what resources were needed, and started those resources down the path to success. In addition to that, if you were to listen, we have the ability to listen to every telephone call that comes into our dispatching center. And when you hear the professionalism that's handled by those dispatchers, instructing many times in your cases civilians and total strangers how to do CPR to keep you viable until such time as our EMS crews arrive. Then these EMS crews arrive, and I want you to think about that. You know what time your incident happened. You may not have any recollection of it, but now there's been some history, and you go back, you know, they came at all hours of the day and night. They came in the rain, they came in the snow, they came when it was nice out, and you know what? It didn't matter. They didn't care who you were. They saw you in your hour of need and wanted to help you, and they want to continue to help you. I want you to hopefully take this and give back, and that's what we're looking for. The Division of Fire's goal every day is to serve our community and to minimize injury, deaths, and property destruction. That's what our mission is. We do it with values of integrity and personal safety. We want to give back. We want to continue. But I'm asking each one of you, every family, every friend, every person that you encounter when you tell this story, tell them to learn CPR. Because every one of your story results around the fact that somebody was doing CPR that allowed you to become viable, so that when our medics got there with the tremendous training that they have and were able to operate in such a professional manner, they created an outcome that we are all proud of. And I can guarantee that everybody here is exemplary and thankful for. I can't thank the citizens of Columbus for supporting us enough. They give us the resources. City Council, the Mayor's Office, the Director's Office supports us with our facilities, our logistics, and it is not a cheap operation. The Columbus Division of Fire spends over $250 million a year to provide the services that it does. But to do that, it's needed, because to put this in perspective, while there are 7 survivors here today, there will be on average 3 people that will have the same type of medical emergency that you did on a daily basis. Sometime in this 24-hour cycle today, 3 people will go into cardiac arrest. In addition to that, the Division of Fire will respond on over 500 other life-threatening emergencies, from strokes, heart attacks, medical emergencies, diabetes, traumas, opiate addiction, auto accidents, you name it, we're there to respond. We do it without question, and we'll continue to do that. I want to thank every member that you see here sitting here. They performed admirably under very stressful situations in somebody's darkest hour of need, and they provided that. I appreciate every one of the victims who has come back to say thank you. We appreciate that. We appreciate that recognition. But most importantly, we're going to be here tomorrow, and we're going to be here the day after that, and we're going to be here for eternity, because that's what the Columbus Division of Fire does and will continue to do as long as we're in existence. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And next in our remarks is our union president, David Montgomery. David has been a real supporter of EMS within our division, and a vocal supporter, someone who gives encouragement to us as we continue to expand our horizons in EMS. So look forward to the remarks from David Montgomery. Please welcome him.
Thanks for those kind words, Doc. I'd like to take a moment and welcome all of you here this morning. Today, we're here to commemorate the lives saved and to honor the men and women responsible for saving those lives. This is the day that Columbus Fire pays tribute to our best. The men and women who ride paramedics in the city of Columbus every day are really the unsung heroes in the fire service. These people, these men and women, think about this, while in the back of a truck going 65 miles an hour down the road, bumpy road, expertly start IVs, administer life-saving drugs, manage cardiac arrest, strokes, seizures, gunshots, fractures, and every other injury imaginable with the skill and composure of a seasoned emergency room physician. They do this every single day and night without any acknowledgement. Well, today, we're here to change that. Today, we celebrate survival. Today, we salute the selfless bravery of the Columbus firefighter paramedics. How many of us get to look at our rescuers in the eye and say thank you? Thank you for allowing me one more hug with my child or one more walk with my dog. Not very many. Survival rates are around 10% for cardiac arrests, which occur outside the hospital, which includes many of you here today. Approximately 10% will get the opportunity to see another day. That's pretty frightening, right? It's also pretty amazing because you beat the considerable odds and live to tell about it. You received that incredible, rare second chance, and today you have the very good fortune of being able to celebrate it with the very people who gave it to you. What do you say? What do you say to the person who literally saved your life? There's no words, right? It's okay, though, because words aren't really necessary. The payoff, if you will, for the heroes here today is to simply see you alive and well, with a smile on your face. That's it. That's why they do it. That's what they do, to have the opportunity to impact lives and to create second chances. On behalf of Local 67, I once again want to thank all of you for being here today. We are honored that you chose to spend the morning with us at Columbus Fire. I'd also like to acknowledge and commend the very best of us to celebrate our paramedics. Today is your day, men and women of Columbus. Every single person in this room appreciates your dedication to your job, your professionalism, and your overall undying want to do this work. So on behalf of the brothers and sisters of Local 67, thank you.
Thank you, President Montgomery. Well, it's my honor now to introduce to you our previous honorees. These are folks that have come to a ceremony like this, just like you all have, and they keep coming back every year because it was such an impactful time for them. And we're so honored that they celebrate with us each and every year because it's like another birthday for them. So if you're here and I call your name, will you and your families please stand up? Carl Alexander, Warren Altoff, Carolyn Summerick, Carolyn Miller, and Ralph Wood. Could we give them a round of applause, please? Thank you so much for attending again. I did forget some people. I knew I would, that I'd like to introduce. Back in the back is our Associate Medical Director, Dr. Eric Cortez, along with a couple of chiefs I forgot, Chief Jim Davis, Chief Rich Ballard, Chief Patrick Ferguson. So we have all our assistant chiefs and our chief and the medical director here. We could almost have a staff meeting if we'd like to. I also want to just mention to you, because I have been instructed by our Columbus Division of Fire photographer, that we are taking pictures directly after the event. We feel it's so important to memorialize our interaction with you and this event with you because what we do is we hang that picture up on our cardiac arrest wall of fame in our training complex. So after the ceremony, this handsome young man over here is going to be coming around to your tables and procuring you to go outside and get a quick picture with you and your rescuers. And you can't imagine how great that is. We have pictures going back, I don't know, about 10 years, and it really helps to kind of personify and give a record of the wonderful work that's done here. So I just want to give a reminder for that since I was instructed to. So without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, who has done this task for many years and never fails to provide just a wow performance every time that she's here. I am kind of a little surprised that she walked out here just a minute ago, because I haven't even started to talk about her yet. So maybe she's anticipating what I'm going to say. But anyway, Miss Angela Pace, I know all of you know her. She is just such an asset to our community. She grew up on the South End. She went to South High School. And she has stayed here in the community and contributed so much to all different walks of life here in Central Ohio. She's a familiar face, someone that will come up to you and talk to you on the street, and she just really cares about our community. And she cares about the Division of Fire, and that's why she's here. Every year, she graciously consents to come and host this event, even though she's very, very busy. So, within the Columbus Division of Fire, we lovingly refer to her as Awesome Amiodarone Angela. So would you please welcome Miss Angela Pace.
So they kept putting this drug in my scripts, and I couldn't say it, and I still can't. So thank you for just calling me out like that, Doc. I appreciate it. What Dr. Kessig did not mention, and I'm surprised he didn't, is that he and I are rivals. We come from rival high schools. I come from the amazing South High Bulldogs, and he went to Marion Franklin High School in those and yet he's successful. I know. I am thrilled to be here. I've done this, I don't even know how many years I've been doing this now. And I love doing it. I love doing it because I love hearing the stories, and because, as all my firefighter friends know, I got a thing for firefighters. I was in a fire myself about 100 years ago, and I'm just so grateful to the guys who responded to that. And some of my best drinking buddies are firefighters, so I drink tea. I don't know what they're drinking. But I am always so thrilled to take part in this event because it is a celebration. I got this off the internet the other day. It said, "Happy EMS Week to all the brave men and women who bring you back from the dead and still get called ambulance drivers." So just know that we do know that you are more than just ambulance drivers. The stories of these 7 people are absolutely remarkable, and the one I'm going to start with is particularly touching to me because this is somebody that I know and have known for a long time, and we serve on a board together, so we see each other a lot. The American Heart Association talked about the 5 links in the out-of-hospital chain of survival, and this first story is a perfect example of that. Kimber Perfect had just left a meeting in downtown Columbus, a meeting she was in with me, as a matter of fact, when she went into arrest on the street. A bystander realized that Kimber was in arrest, contacted EMS, and another bystander began chest compressions. Thanks to that bystander, Kimber experienced every link in that chain of survival. When EMS arrived, the bystander was still performing compressions. Medics began high-quality CPR and performed rapid and multiple defibrillations. They established an IV to administer life-saving cardiac drugs and inserted a tube in Kimber's throat to help with her breathing. With these efforts, the EMS crews were able to obtain a return of spontaneous circulation, or ROSC, in the field. An electrocardiogram showed a normal sinus rhythm, meaning that Kimber's pulses had returned. Medic 815 transported Kimber to Grant Medical Center, where she received post-arrest care. With the members of Medic 815, Caleb Baker, Ethan Heigl, and Kent Miller, and EMS 10 Captain Aaron Renner, please come to the front, along with cardiac survivor Kimber Perfect. Okay, guys, get on up here. It's always tough to get these guys to come up front. They're all so humble. Oh, this is a cute group here. All righty now. Okay, all the rest of y'all, this is the standard that's been set. This is what all y'all have to look like when you come up here. Kimber?
Thank you, Angela. Oh, thank you so much. Good morning, gentlemen. It's wonderful to see you again. This is our third time together because I visited them at Engine House 1 a few weeks after my cardiac arrest, after they had saved my life. Good morning, survivors. It's a great day to be alive, isn't it? I want to just take a couple minutes to dig a little deeper into my story that Angela shared. Firefighter Matt Snyder, who I'm not certain is here, he was actually the person who took the call from that bystander who I collapsed in front of. And I have listened to that call. And I have to tell you, in addition to these 4 amazing firefighters and medics who saved my life, I believe firefighter Matt Snyder also saved my life. So he was talking to this gentleman who made the call, and he, of course, immediately had dispatched Engine House 1. But then when the caller said, she's starting to turn purple, he said, someone has to start compressions now. Can you do that? And he said, put your phone on speakerphone and I will talk someone through it. So a second bystander did the compressions, and as you heard from Angela, was still actively, and this was not a person trained in CPR, but firefighter Snyder talked him through it for several minutes. So when these firefighters and medics arrived, I had no pulse. I was not breathing. I had been unresponsive for just about 10 minutes. So I am the classic example of that chain of survival that Angela spoke of. We had the bystanders, complete strangers to me, who took immediate action. We had a very astute firefighter answering the call at the Columbus Fire Division. Well-prepared firefighters and medics, who I carry in my heart forever, who arrived on the scene and provided advanced life support to me within minutes of my cardiac arrest. Quick action of the paramedics then got me to the hospital, where I once again needed to be revived because I suffered cardiac arrest when I got to Grant. And then, of course, the excellent medical care I received at Grant. My family, many of whom are here, my friends, my work colleagues, we're all very grateful to all of these men and women who were part of my chain of survival. Firefighter Matt Snyder, as I've talked about, Lieutenant Kent Miller, Ethan Heigl, Dave Daly, Caleb Baker, and Aaron Tyron were all on the scene, and then responding also was Captain Aaron Renner and Lieutenant Todd Gritter. I was definitely in great hands. Also, Bike Patrol Officer Fletcher Farr, who's not with us this morning, but Fletcher called the mayor's office right away. And Officer Jerome Stevens grabbed a couple of my colleagues. They ran to the hospital. Sergeant Weiner from the police division ran to the hospital. I had so many people working on my behalf that morning. And so I really want to commend you, Chief O'Connor, as well as Director Pettis, Kathy Collins. You know, you all are leading an amazing team of people. I work across all the city departments. I have a very special relationship with each of our departments in our great city. But I have to say the Department of Public Safety and of course the Fire Division has a special place in my heart. I'm here today because of what each and every one of you do every day when you go to work to serve the residents of our city. I also do want to speak to my family. You are the true treasures in my life, and I've put you through holy hell these last couple years. I've had 2 major medical events for these poor people, and I'm so very sorry. I'm so very sorry. I was basically sleeping while all of these things happened, and I came to, and I have a very positive, upbeat attitude, as anyone who knows me will attest to, and I just looked around those hospital rooms, and I just said, well, of course I'm going to be okay. Why would anyone think otherwise? But my dear sisters, Melaine and Charmin, and my son Zeb, and my daughter Jenny, and my dear friend Karen Hughes, they sat in those hospital waiting rooms. They sat in those little rooms reserved for families for the bad news. They were greeted by the hospital chaplain when they arrived at Grant Hospital. I put them through all of that, and they heard the grim prognosis, not once, but twice over the last couple years. And there was a very real possibility that I would leave them. But I did not leave them. I am here, and I'm very grateful to have such a blessed life, and to all of you in this room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kimber, and thank you to the team that brought her back to us. As you can tell, she's very happy to be here. Carry-On Wilkins' mother called for help after Carry-On had a seizure in his bedroom. She was not able to wake him. Medic 15 responded, and the crew found Carry-On face down and unresponsive. They realized that he was in cardiorespiratory arrest and immediately called for assistance. They began high-quality CPR and ACLS, advanced cardiovascular life support resuscitative measures. They then attached defibrillator pads and administered a shock of 200 joules. Pulses returned, Carry-On was put on a stretcher and carried out to the medic. EMS continued post-arrest resuscitative care during the transport to Nationwide Children's Hospital. Would members of Medic 15, Kyle Mertz and Ryan Burt, and EMS 14 Lieutenant Thad Toronto, along with survivor Carry-On Wilkins, please come forward. Adam Bell? Oh, and Adam Bell, I'm sorry, Adam Bell. Is Carry-On here? Is Carry-On here, Dr. Kessick? That would be a no? Well, would one of you gentlemen like to speak about that experience? And they all said no. See, this is what I love about these guys. They're all so humble. They don't want to be here, trust me. They came for the free food. That's it. They don't want the recognition, but we're going to acknowledge you anyway. So how about a round of applause? You know, Carry-On, he's 14, so he might be in school. Did we think about that? He might be in school. Let's assume that he is. So the crew from Station 33 found our next survivor, Wanda Wells, in her chair. She was unresponsive, and relatives told the crew that Wanda had been complaining about chest pain and then passed out. Family members started CPR before EMS arrived. Medics couldn't find a pulse, so the crew from Station 33 took over CPR. When they attached the monitor, they found that Wanda was in ventricular fibrillation. CPR was continued and IV was established. Wanda was intubated and shocked at 200 joules, then 300. Spontaneous circulation returned. Wanda became alert while she was being transported to the hospital and even tried to talk to the medics. Now, I know Wanda, and I know that she was trying to talk to the medics, were members of Medic 33, Thomas Vidra, Jack Figgins, and Michael Goring, and EMS 12 Lieutenant Mike McKean, along with my friend survivor Wanda Wells. Please come forward. Do you want to talk? Don't talk long, Wanda. I'm telling you, I know her. We used to party together back in the day.
Well, I'm not going to say much at all.
Okay, well, wait till you get up here.
Well,
And don't, I'm going to stand right here to make sure you don't say much.
this is my husband, Dave, my guardian angel, plus the angels here. I guess I just want to tell you the experience that I remember, because there's not too much that I do. Then Dave can talk his feelings, but not many of us get to realize we have visions of what you think heaven is, and whether you're going to make it through the gate or not, and I didn't. I'm not quite sure how long I was completely out, but during this process, I came down a dark hall, and in my vision was bright lights, and 4 of my children are here, which I love dearly and very proud, but the one passed away 13 years ago. And I saw Julie, and she looked so happy and so in love with everything. I held up my hand to her, and she would not take it, and she said, "No, Mom, God doesn't have a place yet for you." And I just looked at her, and she said, "Mom, you have to go back to Dad and Winston." And she repeated it the second time. Now, Winston is my spoiled, the kids know you never treated us that way, but he's my spoiled little puppy of 3 years old, and he very seldom leaves my side. Now, how did Julie know and say his name? But she did. She told me I had to go back to Dad and Winston. And that's when these guys evidently zapped the crap out of me and brought me back. And thanks to this guy doing CPR, which he had never done before, here I am. I'm not sure the kids are that happy, but here I am. Go ahead.
I would like to make a short statement. This shouldn't take more than 30 minutes.
No.
This event happened in August of 2017, and Wanda and I did have a life-changing event through this. On that morning, on August 8th, she actually died from this event. I had never received CPR training, and with Jesus' hand on my shoulder, I kept her heart pumping the blood to her system. Within 6 minutes, the Columbus Fire Squad arrived. They shocked her twice, brought her back to life, and after a week at St. Anne's, a defibrillator and a pacemaker, she is normal. Praise God. She related the story to you, and this is a true story. She actually saw our departed daughter, who had been gone for 13 years, and made the comment to Wanda to return. I'm so happy to have her back, as my family is, and we're so happy to know the people from Station 33 and EMS 12. They're fantastic people. Thank you so much.
Mark Bradford collapsed on a trail at Westgate Park. A passerby called 911 and began chest compressions. Engine 12 arrived first on the scene. Before the medic arrived, the crew from Engine 12 had already inserted an OPA. Okay, get this, Dr. Kessick. Oropharyngeal airway. Thank you very much. Thank you. They inserted the OPA with a bag valve mask. They established an IV, and they shocked Mark twice. Now, Mark's heart was in ventricular fibrillation. The normal shocks were not breaking this deadly rhythm. The Medic 12 crew delivered a double sequential shock, which is 360 joules back to back. The crew then connected Mark to the Lucas device, which provides mechanical chest compressions. Normally, this procedure is continued with medication and high-quality CPR. Now, throughout the arrest, the crews monitored Mark's heart rhythm change from VFib to different rhythms, but it would always revert back to VFib. Recently, Columbus Fire agreed to transport patients in Mark's condition to OSU, and that's what this crew did. At OSU Wexner Medical Center, Mark was placed on a heart and lung bypass in the cath lab. With members of Medic 12, Scott Highfill, Christopher Wells, Dan Brissell, Tiffany Page, and Cody Albright, and EMS 12 Lieutenant Mike Miles, along with cardiac survivor Mark Bradford, please come to the front.
I'm afraid I'm not much at this type of thing, but I just want to thank everybody, these folks right here. We've stayed in touch with them since September, and I'm told by my wife, who has done absolutely everything for me, that I don't remember a dang thing. And I don't. I hit the ground, I don't remember a week before, and I don't remember until about 2 weeks after that. The people at Wexner Hospital, continued to work on me and save my life, but not as much as these folks did. It's hard to express your feelings, and to see these people standing here and that the city realizes what they've done and what they continue to do is great. Thank you.
Okay, sit down. You done got your 15 seconds of fame. Go sit down. Silvia Blanchard had recently had her knee replaced. She was at a physical therapy facility, sitting in a chair, getting therapy for that knee, when she suddenly became unresponsive. Medic 10 was called, and the crew determined that Silvia did not have a pulse. Medics moved her from the chair to the floor and began CPR. They administered a shock from the AED, and that produced an ROSC, return of spontaneous circulation. She had an open and clear airway, and soon Silvia was awake and alert and was transported to Mount Carmel West Hospital. With members of Medic 10, Derek Beeler and Michael Dorsey, along with survivors Silvia Blanchard, please come forward.
As Ms. Pace said, I don't truly remember anything. I did my physical therapy. I'm sorry, I'm nervous and I'm afraid. I've never been this. And I was waiting for my physical therapist. She said, Sylvia, sit down on the chair. And she said, I'm going over here and get your whatever, she took my paperwork. And I said, okay, and I got to talking to her, and I said, she said, how you doing? I said, I'm doing okay. I said, hey, I went to church yesterday. I said, I did get to do that, and that's the last thing I remember. So it was with the guy, where was he from? The heart, yeah, the heart guy from the other side of the world. He told me that he had never used, what was that? AED. And I was the first person that he had ever tried it on, and I told him, well, I thank you that you did. And I am truly, truly, truly grateful, thankful, and appreciative to the guys that they have to tell you because I don't know nothing. I seen the sky when I was going out of the ER or the therapy room, and I said, oh, dang, I'm outside. That's all I can tell you. And I'm grateful and thankful to them for being able to do what it was that they had to do, because I don't remember. Thank you again.
I love the fact that they're all sitting together up here. So you guys have just bonded, haven't you? And Silvia, you're getting around pretty snazzy on that knee. Yeah. There you go. You keep working on it. So Bret Jaffee's wife said that they were in the car. Bret said he wasn't feeling well. He then passed out. He was lying on the sidewalk when Dublin police dispatcher Mark Heinault started bystander CPR. Bret was exhibiting agonal breathing, gasping for breath, when EMS arrived, but the crews could not find a pulse on him. They administered a shock of 200 joules. That produced a return of spontaneous circulation. With assisted ventilations, Bret did maintain a pulse. An electrocardiogram showed an ST elevation. Now, I don't know what that is. I just know it's not good. And a STEMI alert. Is that right? STEMI alert? Thank you. STEMI alert was called into Grant Medical Center. Even though he remained unconscious through all this, Bret did have a strong radial pulse. He was breathing on his own when they arrived at the hospital. Would members of Medic 1, Jonathan Lent and Christopher Grilly, Dublin Police Dispatcher Mike Heinault, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly, and EMS 10 Captain Scott Crummell, along with Bret Jaffee, please come to the front. Oh, fine. Oh, okay, if you say so.
Believe it or not, I'm an attorney, and I always have a way with words. But this experience has, I had you guys do it. I can't do it.
It was a dark and stormy night. We were coming home from a terrible Blue Jackets game. Terrible. And they were losing like 4-0. We're like, let's get out of here. The only reason I was driving the car was because it was cold. And I said, Bret, he was having trouble walking. And I said, let me pick you up.
I had my knee replaced too.
Oh, he had his knee replaced too.
And so I picked him up in front of the arch, came around, and he said, you can't turn left on Neil. And I said, well, I'm going to, because I want to get home. And so I turned left, and I said, see, I turned left, and he was slumped over. And I said, stop that, it's not funny. And kind of poked at him, and I was like, and so I just stopped the car. I did something. I mean, I stopped the car, I called 911, I pulled him out, started compressions, but I learned how to do that when I was a lifeguard. Now, I'm pretty old. And I was a lifeguard like 45 years ago. And I do have to say something, that when I took CPR training as a lifeguard that long ago, the person training us said 90% of the people that learn this will use it someday. I had no idea I would be using it on my husband 40 years later. But I didn't really know what I was doing, and so I was screaming for someone. It's starting to snow hard, and Mike Penel came by and said, let me take over. I don't know, it was a miracle. And so he took over for me because he knew what he was doing. And these angels came like 5 minutes later. I mean, it seemed like 5 minutes later. It could have been 15, it could have been 50, I don't know. But these guys, this whole group of guys here, worked to save my husband, who, in a minute, my life was going to change. And I'm very grateful for that. What do you have to add?
I'm trying to think my composure. Like everybody else who's experienced this, I don't remember a thing. Nothing. I remember leaving the arena nationwide, and the next thing I told my wife, I said, God, my chest is killing me, and I was in the hospital. I have no recollection of anything in the arena. So they can say anything they want about what happened, because I don't know. But I know that without my wife's immediate administrations and the actions, the very quick thinking actions of Mike Minot, and then of course the professionalism of the people who came and saved my life, I wouldn't be here talking. And so all I can say is thank you. As we all have, you've been given a gift, and hopefully we won't waste it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jaffies. And the Blue Jackets apologize for putting you in that state. Bless their hearts. Cathleen Sommerfeld was sitting on a couch having serious trouble breathing when Medic 5 arrived. Kathleen's daughter told the medics that her mother had complained of sharp chest pains earlier in the evening. Now, when medics checked for a pulse, Kathleen stopped breathing and went into cardiac arrest. The crew moved her to the floor and started CPR. Quick combo patches showed VFib. A shock of 200 joules converted her rhythm to sinus tach, meaning that her heart rate was faster than normal. Kathleen then opened her eyes and told the medics that she had chest pain, about a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10, and that it was radiating to her left arm. A 12-lead electrocardiogram showed ST elevation. She was treated with nitro and fentanyl, and her pain went down to about a 4. Kathleen was taken to Mount Carmel East Hospital. Would members of Medic 5, John Hill, Chris Faught, and Corey Blair, along with Cathleen Sommerfeld, please come to the front.
So she's a little emotional. I'm her daughter, and I'm going to say some words. That night, I went to an ugly sweater party, and something told me I needed to come home. I normally go there every year, stay the night. So around 2 a.m., she woke me up and told me she had chest pains. She had a stent put in about a week earlier, OSU, so I knew we needed to call them. The difference is she knew this was happening. She was sitting downstairs, had her medicine, her ID, everything that she knew she needed to do. When I looked to the door to tell her they were here, that's when I knew she wasn't responding. I knew how to do CPR, but in that moment, you don't think about it. I knew to get the guys in the door, and when they came in, they did exactly what they needed to do, and they saved my mom's life. Without them, she wouldn't be here. About a few days later, she had a stroke. So we didn't know if she was gonna be here. So without these guys and the men that helped her, I wouldn't have my mom. So they are my heroes. Thank you, guys.
So the stories are real. You have heard stories from 7 people who would not be here had it not been for the outstanding, and when I say outstanding, that's not even a superlative that's strong enough, training and work of the men and women of the Columbus Fire Department. So I want to personally, and I think everybody in this room should applaud all these fine men and women for the work that they do to bring people back. And I found something on the internet, and I hope you don't mind if I read this, because I thought that, I think it kind of sums up what you guys do. It says, it's a scary feeling sometimes being the person who responds to a 911 call. There is no 912. You're it. You have put yourself in a position to be the only possible solution to what can be a terrible situation. That sometimes feels like a bad mistake. All the hero nonsense goes out the window pretty quickly in the reality of the job. You just do the very best that you can to keep it together and render the best care possible. The outcome isn't yours to own, good or bad. You finish the report and you go back into service. There are more 911 calls to answer. So for all of you who answer those calls, I say thank you. Please tell the guys at Station 19 in Clintonville, they know where I live, so if they get that call to my house, they know what to do. Thank you all so much for allowing me to be here. And don't forget, James Miller needs you to go where?
Out here.
Out there, to get your picture taken. He made me promise to tell you that. Thank you all.
Boy, Angela Pace does a great job, doesn't she? She is wonderful. We're so lucky to have her be kind of the face and the voice of this event. So, how many of you have been to anything like this before? It's pretty impressive, isn't it? It's, you know, it really, I think it leaves an impact on you, and I hope that you understand just how important EMS is to your family, to your community. You know, here at the Columbus Division of Fire, although I really appreciated Director Collins' remarks about how great we are, and I don't want to argue with her about that, but having said that, I want you all to know that we are always trying to get better. And I think that one of our survivors, Mark Bradford, really demonstrates that, because he was one of our first patients that we actually took to The Ohio State University, and he was put on heart-lung bypass, which is a very, very innovative and groundbreaking strategy for cardiac arrest victims. So we're always trying to figure out, what drug can we give? How much energy should we use when we defibrillate? What airway makes the most difference? How soon should we start CPR? What device can we use to automate CPR? All those questions are being asked here in the Columbus Division of Fire each and every day. We're lucky to have a fire chief, public safety director, a City of Columbus administration that supports us in our efforts. Because without EMS, none of our survivors would be here right now. So you heard the stories, you heard the impact. So we just want to thank them for coming and thank you for coming today.